The CIA has a secret message carved into a sculpture on its own grounds that its best minds haven't fully deciphered in over 30 years. A tantalizing puzzle in plain sight. Imagine a book from the 15th century filled with drawings of impossible plants and tiny naked people swimming in green liquid. All written in a script that has stumped linguists and cryptographers for a century. Its meaning is elusive as smoke. And consider this. A murder victim's pockets contain scribbled notes in a code so personal or complex it remains unread decades later, possibly holding the key to identifying his killer, a silent testament to a life cut short and a message lost in translation. These are just glimpses into a world of symbols, secrets, and scripts that continue to taunt and fascinate us, remaining stubbornly locked despite our best efforts. Number 14. The notes a murder victim left behind. In June 1999, the body of 41-year-old Ricky McCormick was found in a field in St. Charles County, Missouri. It was a tragic discovery, but what lay in his pockets deepened the mystery surrounding his death. Investigators found 2 small pieces of paper, covered in what appeared to be a complex coded message. These notes, a jumble of letters, numbers, and parentheses, looked like an intricate cipher. McCormick, a high school drojo with a criminal record, wasn't someone you'd expect to be a master cryptographer. Yet he had reportedly used similar encrypted notes since he was a boy, though no one in his family knew what they meant or how to read them. The FBI's Cryptanalysis and Racketeering Records Unit, CRRU, home to some of the best code breakers in the country, took a crack at it. They tried various methods, compared it to known ciphers, and scrutinized every character. Despite their expertise, the notes remained gibberish. 12 years after his death, in 2011, the FBI, in an unusual move, publicly released the ciphers, hoping an amateur sleuth or a fresh pair of eyes might see something they had missed. They even posted them online asking for help. The notes are short, one containing 3 lines of jumbled text, and the other 5, what could they possibly say? Are they directions? Names? A confession? Or perhaps, as some skeptics suggest, just meaningless scribbles of a troubled mind? The fact that McCormick was known to write such notes for years suggests they held meaning for him. Could this be a unique personal shorthand? A language known only to one man? If so, its secrets may have died with him. The mystery of Ricky McCormick's notes isn't just an intellectual puzzle. It's a potential key to understanding his final days and possibly solving his murder, which remains unsolved. The scribbles are a silent, frustrating enigma. Number 13. The cipher. A code expert, created and then forgot. Imagine writing a book on how to create and break secret codes, and for a final flourish, you include a super tough challenge cipher for your readers, a real brain teaser to test their newfound skills. That's exactly what Russian-born British cryptographer Alexander D'Agapeyeff did in 1939 with his book Codes and Ciphers. Tucked away at the end of the first edition was a complex-looking block of numbers, a challenge for any aspiring codebreaker. The D'Agapeyeff Cipher, as it came to be known, was presented without any clues, a pure test of cryptographic skill. Readers eagerly tried to crack it, applying the techniques D'Agapeyeff himself had outlined in the book. They tried substitution ciphers, transposition ciphers, vigenere ciphers, and more exotic methods. Nothing worked. The numbers remained stubbornly opaque. Here's the truly baffling part. Years later, D'Agapeyeff himself reportedly admitted that he had forgotten how he had encrypted the message. He couldn't remember the key or the specific method he'd used. Whether this was a genuine lapse of memory or a coy way of saying it was exceptionally difficult is unknown. Because of this, the cipher was removed, from subsequent editions of the book, adding to its mystique. Unlike some other famous unsolved codes, the D'Agapeyeff Cipher isn't tied to a hidden treasure or a historical conspiracy. It's a purely intellectual challenge, a puzzle created for the sake of puzzling. Its relatively short length, a grid of several hundred digits, makes it seem like it should be solvable. Yet it has resisted all attempts for over 80 years. What secret does this string of numbers hold? Was it a complex polyalphabetic system, or something more esoteric? Without the creator's notes or memory, and with no context for the potential plenate, code breakers are working in the dark. It remains a curious footnote in the history of cryptography, a puzzle left behind by an expert who, in a strange twist of fate, became unable to solve his own creation. Number 12. The secret scribble from a famous composer. Sir Edward Elgar, the celebrated English composer behind classics like Pomp and Circumstance marches, had a playful side and a keen interest in puzzles, including cryptography. In July 1897, he penned a short, enigmatic note to his young friend, Dora Penny, the daughter of a rector and the Dorabella of his Enigma Variations fame. This note, now known as the Dorabella Cipher, is a mere 87 characters, long spread over 3 lines. It's composed of 24 distinct symbols, each made up of 1, 2, or 3 semicircles oriented in 8 different directions, looking a bit like tiny Pac-Men facing various ways. Dora, by her own admission, never understood it. She filed it away, and it only came to wider public attention many years later. Despite its brevity, the Dorabella Cipher has proven incredibly resistant to declassation. What could Elgar, a man of music and letters, have been trying to say in this cryptic squiggle? Was it an affectionate message, a private joke, or something more profound? Cryptographers and Elgar enthusiasts have proposed numerous solutions over the years. Some suggest it's a simple substitution cipher, where each symbol stands for a letter. Others believe it's more complex, perhaps involving a keyword or a musical theme. The small number of distinct symbols relative to the length of the message suggests some symbols might represent common letters or letter pairs, but without a clear pattern or key, it's hard to make progress. One of the challenges is the sheer lack of cart. Short messages give code breakers very little material to work with for statistical analysis, which is a common tool for breaking classical ciphers. Furthermore, we don't know the underlying language for certain, though English is the most likely candidate given the sender and recipient. Did Elgar use a known cipher system, or did he invent his own for this little note? Was it meant to be seriously puzzling, or was it a whimsical creation he thought Dora might easily guess? The Dorabella Cipher remains a charming and frustrating puzzle, a tiny window into the mind of a great composer, holding a secret he shared with no one else who could pass it on. Number 11. The mysterious letters on an 18th century monument. In the heart of Staffordshire, England, stands the Shugborough estate, ancestral home of the Earls of Lichfield. Within its grounds is an 18th century neoclassical structure called the Shepherd's Monument, which features a marble relief. This relief is a copy of Nicolas Poussin's famous painting, Et in Arcadia Ego, also known as The Shepherds of Arcadia, depicting shepherds gathered around a tomb. Below this scene, carved into the stone, is a curious sequence of 10 letters, O-U, O-S-V by a D-V-M. These letters are framed by a D on the far left and an M on the far right, making the full inscription D-O-U-O-S-V-A-V-V-M. For over 250 years, the Shugborough Inscription has baffled historians, linguists, and amateur sleuths. Theories abound, ranging from the romantic to the conspiratorial. Some believe it's an acronym, perhaps for a Latin phrase or a piece of poetry. One popular suggestion is that it stands for Optime Uxoris Optime Sororis, Viduis Amantissimus, Vovit Virtutibus Magistrum, a Latin dedication from a grieving husband to his wife and sister. Others have tried to link it to the family who commissioned the monument, the Anson family, suggesting it might be a private code or a family motto. More elaborate theories connect the inscription to secret societies like the Knights Templar or the Priory of Sion, speculating that it's a clue to the whereabouts of the Holy Grail. Charles Darwin, a contemporary, even pondered its meaning, but found no answer. Poussin painting itself is steeped in themes of mortality and the ephemeral nature of life, adding another layer of mystery. Could the letters be a philosophical statement, a memento mori? The difficulty in deciphering it lies in the lack of context. We don't know the language, the cipher system, if any, or the intended meaning. Are the fifth B and UO meant to be numbers, letters, or something else entirely? Careful carving suggests it was intentional and held significance. Yet, whatever message it was designed to convey has been lost to time, or perhaps it was always meant to be a puzzle, a silent invitation to ponder life's great mysteries, etched in stone for centuries to come. Number 10. The Zodiac Killer's taunting, unsolved messages. During the late 1960s and early 1970s, a shadowy figure known only as the Zodiac Killer terrorized Northern California, claiming at least 5 victims, though he boasted of many more. What set the Zodiac apart, beyond his brutality, was his penchant for taunting the police and the public with letters and ciphers sent to newspapers. Some of these ciphers were cracked, offering chilling insights into his psyche, but others remained stubbornly unsolved, little pockets of defiance from a killer who was never caught. The most famous solved cipher was the Z408, cracked by a schoolteacher and his wife in 1969, which spoke of his thrill in killing. Another, the Z340, remained unsolved for 51 years until an international team of amateur codebreakers finally cracked it in 2020, revealing a message that dismissed the idea he was afraid of being caught. However, 2 key ciphers attributed to the Zodiac continue to elude definitive devlictum: the Z32 and the Z13. The Z32 cipher, sent with a map of the San Francisco Bay Area, is a short string of symbols that Zodiac claimed would, when combined with the map, reveal the location of a bomb he had planted. No bomb was ever found, and the cipher, despite its apparent connection to a specific location, hasn't yielded a clear solution. Is it a genuine code, a red herring, or a poorly constructed puzzle? Then there's the Z13, a very short cipher consisting of the words, "My name," is followed by 13 characters. Cracking this could, in theory, reveal the killer's identity, the biggest secret of all. Numerous attempts have been made, with many proposed solutions for the name, but none have been widely accepted or officially verified. The brevity of these ciphers is a major hurdle. With so few characters, statistical analysis is difficult, and many potential solutions can be forced to fit. The Zodiac was known for his complex, sometimes flawed, constructions. Were these last ciphers genuine attempts at communication, or simply more games from a manipulative mind? The mystery of the Zodiac's identity and his uncracked codes continues to fuel books, documentaries, and countless online forums, a dark puzzle that still captivates and horrifies. Number 9. The lost language of an ancient European civilization. Long before the glories of classical Greece, a sophisticated civilization flourished on the island of Crete and other Aegean islands. We call them the Minoans, after the legendary king Minos. From around 2500 to 1450 BC, they built magnificent palaces, created stunning art, and engaged in extensive maritime trade. They also had a system of writing, but one of their scripts, known as Linea A, remains largely a mystery. Linea A was used by the Minoans from about 1800 to 1450 BCE. Archaeologists have unearthed hundreds of clay tablets, stone vessels, and other objects inscribed with its elegant, linear symbols. These inscriptions are mostly short, appearing to be administrative records, lists of goods, people, and livestock, likely from palace archives or religious offerings. The script consists of several dozen syllabic signs, representing syllables like K, Po, Ri, along with logograms, symbols representing whole words or concepts like wine or sheep, and numerals. Problem is, while we can read some Linea A signs phonetically because they look similar to signs in a later deciphered script called Linea B, the words that result don't match any known language. Linea B, used by the Mycenaeans who later dominated Crete, was famously deciphered in the 1950s by Michael Ventris and John Chadwick, who showed it to be an early form of Greek. Many Linea A symbols have similar phonetic values to their Linea B counterparts. However, when these values are applied to Linea A texts, the resulting words are unintelligible. This strongly suggests that Linea A records a different, unknown language, often referred to as Minoan. What was this language? Was it related to Anatolian languages like Luwian, or perhaps Semitic languages? Or is it a language isolate with no known relatives? Without a Rosetta Stone, a bilingual text with Linea A and a known language decipherment is incredibly difficult. Researchers can make educated guesses about the meaning of some logograms based on context, like a symbol next to a picture of a chariot. But the underlying grammar and much of the vocabulary of the Minoan language are lost to us. Cracking Linea A would unlock the voices of this fascinating Bronze Age civilization, giving us direct insight into their society, economy, and beliefs beyond what archaeology alone can tell. For now, their tablets remain mostly silent. Number 8. The Book from Nowhere, written in a language of dreams. Imagine a thick, ancient-looking book filled with hundreds of pages of dense, handwritten text accompanied by strange, almost childlike illustration, depicting battles, religious iconography with Christian, Muslim, and possibly pagan symbols and landscapes. Now imagine that the entire text is written in an alphabet composed of around 200 unique symbols, a script that looks like nothing else on Earth. This is the Rohont Codex, a mysterious manuscript that has puzzled scholars for nearly 2 centuries. Codex surfaced in Hungary in the early 19th century, donated to the Hungarian Academy of Sciences in 1838 by Gustav Batthyány, a Hungarian count, along with the rest of his library. Its origins are completely unknown. Where did it come from? Who wrote it? And when? Paper it's written on has been suggested to date from the 16th or 17th century. But this is not definitive. The script itself is the biggest puzzle. It flows from right to left, and the symbols are numerous and complex, far more than a typical alphabet. Attempts to link it to known languages or scripts, Old Hungarian, Dacian, Hindi, Brahmi, even a form of cuneiform, have all failed to produce a convincing decipherment. Some scholars have even proposed that the entire codex is an elaborate 18th or early 19th century hoax, created to mystify or to sell. The illustrations are just as baffling. They show a mixture of Christian crosses, crescents, and sun symbols, alongside scenes of warfare with soldiers in varied attire and what appear to be cities or fortifications. The artistic style is crude, yet the sheer volume of text and drawings suggests a significant investment of time and effort. If it is a hoax, it's an incredibly detailed one. If it's genuine, what forgotten language or code does it preserve? Could it be a religious text, a historical chronicle, or something else entirely? The lack of any bilingual text or clear linguistic clues makes any attempt at decipherment a formidable challenge. The Rohan Codex remains in the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, a silent, illustrated enigma, its pages filled with symbols that seem to whisper stories we can't yet understand. Number 7. The Beach Body and the Untranslatable Final Words. On the morning of December 1, 1948, a well-dressed, unidentified man was found dead on Somerton Beach, near Adelaide, South Australia. There were no signs of violence, and all the labels on his clothing had been removed. His pockets contained a few mundane items: a train ticket, a bus ticket, gum, cigarettes, but no wallet and no identification. The case became known as the Taman Shud case, or the Somerton Man mystery. Months later, a pathologist re-examining the man's clothes found a tiny hidden fob pocket sewn into his trousers. Inside was a small rolled-up piece of paper printed with 2 words, Tamam Shud. These words are Persian, meaning "it is ended or finished," and they were identified as being torn from the final page of a copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a collection of Persian poems. A public appeal led police to a specific copy of the Rubaiyat that had been anonymously tossed into a car. This book was missing its final page with Tamam Shud, but it contained something even more intriguing. Faint pencil markings on its back inside cover, appearing to be 5 lines of capital letters, with 1 line crossed out. These letters, WRGOABABD MLIAOI WTBIMP ANETP MLIABOAAAQCITTMTSAMSTGAB, with the second line MLIAOI struck through, looked like a code. Despite efforts by military and civilian cryptographers, this code has never been definitively deciphered. Who was the Somerton Man? Was he a spy, given the Cold War tensions of the era and the professional removal of his identity? Was it a suicide pact gone wrong, related to a jilted love affair? The discovery of a phone number in the book led police to a nurse named Jessica Thompson, who lived nearby and owned a copy of the Rubaiyat. She denied knowing the dead man, though she seemed evasive. In 2022, DNA analysis strongly suggested the Somerton Man was Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne. But this identification, while significant, doesn't solve the mystery of the code or the circumstances of his death. What did those cryptic letters mean? Were they a final message, a secret rendezvous, or a key to his hidden life? The Taman Shud code remains a tiny, tantalizing piece of a much larger, deeply unsettling puzzle. Number 6. The wooden tablets whispering secrets of a lost island culture. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, famous for its colossal stone statues called moai, holds another profound mystery, a unique script known as Rongorongo. This system of glyphs, carved onto wooden tablets and other artifacts, is one of the very few independently invented writing systems in human history, and it's the only one from Polynesia that has survived, albeit undeciphered. When Europeans first visited the island in the 18th century, they made no mention of writing. It wasn't until the 1860s that missionaries and visitors became aware of wooden tablets covered in these strange symbols. By then, however, Rapa Nui society had been devastated by Peruvian slave raids, which took away a significant portion of the population, including many elders, and possibly those who knew how to read the script. Introduced diseases further decimated the remaining islanders. Knowledge of how to read Rongorongo was lost. Only about 24 wooden objects, inscribed with Rongorongo glyphs, survive today, scattered in museums around the world. Texts are typically carved in a system called reverse bostrifton. Lines are read from left to right, then the tablet is rotated 180 degrees, and the next line is read from left to right, and so on. The glyphs themselves are stylized representations of humans, animals, especially birds, plants, celestial objects, and geometric shapes. There are hundreds of distinct glyphs, suggesting a complex system, possibly a mix of logography, symbols for words, and syllabic signs. What do these tablets say? Are they genealogies, myths, chants, astronomical calendars, or something else entirely? Numerous attempts at decipherment have been made over the past 150 years. Some scholars believe they have identified calendrical information or lists of ancestors, but no full verifiable translation of any Rongorongo text has been achieved. The small number of surviving texts, the lack of a Rosetta Stone, and the complete break in cultural transmission make the task incredibly challenging. The Rongorongo script stands as a poignant reminder of a lost world of knowledge, a beautiful, intricate system of communication whose secrets are now locked away, perhaps forever, on those few precious pieces of wood. Number 5. The silent seals of a great lost civilization. Around 4,500 years ago, while pharaohs were building pyramids in Egypt and Mesopotamian cities were flourishing, another great urban civilization thrived in the Indus River Valley, in what is now Pakistan and northwest India. This was the Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization, one of the world's oldest urban cultures. They built sophisticated cities with gridded streets, advanced sanitation systems, and impressive brick architecture. They also left behind thousands of short inscriptions, primarily on small, square, steatite, seals, pottery, and other artifacts. These inscriptions are written in what is known as the Indus script. Despite the discovery of over 4,000 inscribed objects, the Indus script remains undeciphered. The script consists of around 400 to 600 unique symbols, though some scholars argue for a smaller core set. These symbols include abstract geometric shapes, as well as stylized depictions of humans, animals like the famous unicorn figure, fish, and plants. The inscriptions are typically very short, averaging only about 5 signs in length, with the longest being around 26 signs. This brevity is a major obstacle to decipherment. It's hard to find patterns or test linguistic hypotheses with such limited data in each instance. Another fundamental question is the direction of writing. Most scholars now believe it was generally written from right to left, based on signs apparently being cramped on the left side of some inscriptions. But the biggest mystery of all is the language, or languages the script represents. Numerous candidates have been proposed, including Dravidian languages, like Tamil, still spoken in southern India, Indo-Aryan languages, like Sanskrit, Munda languages, or even an unknown language, isolate. Without a bilingual text, like the Rosetta Stone that unlocked Egyptian hieroglyphs, or a much larger corpus of texts, it's incredibly difficult to make progress. Some researchers have even questioned whether the Indus script is a true writing system capable of recording spoken language at all. They suggest it might be a system of non-linguistic symbols like heraldic emblems or religious markers. Cracking the Indus script would be a monumental achievement, opening a direct window into the minds, beliefs, and social structure of this vast and enigmatic ancient civilization. For now, their seals remain beautiful, but silent. Number 4. The clay disc that spins a tale we can't read. In 1908, Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernia was excavating the ruins of a Minoan palace at Phaistos, on the island of Crete. In an underground temple repository, amongst ash-burnt bones and pottery, he found a truly unique object. A flat, circular disc of fired clay, about 15 centimeters 6 inches in diameter. This baped, now known as the Phaistos disc, is covered on both sides with a spiral of stamped symbols, unlike anything else found from the Bronze Age Aegean world. It dates to around 1700 BCE, the height of the Minoan civilization. The symbols on the Phaistos disc are not incised or painted, but impressed into the wet clay using preformed stamps or seals. This makes it one of the earliest known examples of typography, where reusable characters are used to create a text. There are a total of 241 or 242 impressions on the disc, depending on how one counts a partially damaged sign, comprising 45 distinct signs. These signs include pictograms of people: a running man, a plumed head, a child; animals, a bird, a fish, a cat-like head; plants, a rosette, a lily; tools, a boat, a bow, a chisel, and other enigmatic shapes. The signs are arranged in groups, separated by vertical lines, possibly indicating words or phrases, and spiral inwards from the edge to the center on one side, and outwards from the center to the edge on the other. What does this intricate arrangement of symbols mean? The purpose of the Phaistos disc is a complete mystery. Is it a hymn, a magical incantation, a legal document, a list, a story, or even a game board? Its uniqueness is a major part of the problem, because no other object with a similar script has ever been found. There's no context to help with decipherment. We don't know the language it records, nor the system of writing. Is it syllabic, alphabetic, or logographic? Attempts to link the symbols to other known scripts, like Linean A or Anatolian hieroglyphs, have been inconclusive. Theories about its meaning are wide-ranging and often highly speculative, from prayers to deities to astronomical calendars to tales of ancient mariners. Some even suggest it's a hoax, though most experts consider it genuine. The Phaistos disc sits in the Heraklion Archaeological Museum in Crete, a beautiful, tantalizing puzzle, its spiral message locked away, waiting for a breakthrough that may never come. Number 3. The buried treasure that might be a hoax guarded by unbreakable code. Imagine a story straight out of an adventure novel. A mysterious stranger named Thomas J. Beale entrusts a locked iron box to a reliable innkeeper in Lynchburg, Virginia in the 1820s. Inside, he says, are papers of great importance. Beale disappears, never to return. Years later, the innkeeper, Robert Morris, opens the box and finds 3 sheets of paper covered in numbers, apparently ciphers. Pamphlet published in 1885 by an unknown author, supposedly a friend of Morris, tells this tale and presents the ciphers. These are the Beale ciphers. According to the pamphlet, the first cipher describes the location of a vast treasure of gold, silver, and jewels that Beale and his party allegedly buried in Bedford County, Virginia. The second cipher, which was famously cracked, lists the contents of the treasure: thousands of pounds of gold and silver and jewels. The third cipher supposedly names Beale's next of kin, who are the rightful heirs. The key to the second cipher turned out to be the United States Declaration of Independence. Each number in the cipher corresponded to the first letter of a word in the Declaration, found by counting begassas. For example, if the number was 20, you'd find the 20th word in the Declaration and use its first letter. This relatively simple book cipher yielded a clear message detailing the treasure. However, the first and third ciphers have resisted all attempts at tetlacteme for over a century. Treasure hunters, cryptographers, and history enthusiasts have pored over them, trying countless historical documents as potential keys: the Constitution, Shakespeare's plays, the Bible, various legal codes, all to no avail. This has led to a fierce debate. Are the Beale ciphers a genuine map to a lost fortune, or an elaborate 19th century hoax? Skeptics point to inconsistencies in the pamphlet story, anachronisms in language, and the convenient fact that only the cipher describing the treasure, but not its location, was solved. They suggest the entire thing might have been cooked up to sell pamphlets or simply as an intellectual game. Believers, however, argue that the complexity of the unsolved ciphers and the specificity of the solved one point to authenticity. People have spent fortunes and lifetimes searching for Beale's treasure based on clues they believe they've found. To this day, cipher number 1, said to hold the key to the treasure's location, remains an unbroken, tantalizing string of numbers, guarding a secret that could be immensely valuable or entirely fictional. Number 2. The CIA's own backyard riddle that's still not fully solved. Right in the heart of the United States intelligence community, at the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, stands an intriguing sculpture called Kryptos. Created by American artist Jim Sanborn and installed in 1990, Kryptos is a large, wave-like copper screen through which light passes to project letters onto the pavement below. These letters are not random. They form 4 encrypted messages, a puzzle designed to test the wits of even the CIA's sharpest minds. The sculpture quickly became an obsession for both CIA employees and amateur cryptanalysts around the world. The first 3 sections of the cipher, known as K1, K2, and K3, were solved by the late 1990s. K1, solved by CIA analyst David Stein in 1998, uses a modified visionary cipher and reveals a poetic phrase. Between subtle shading and the absence of light lies the nuance of equilusion. K2, solved by Jim Gilligley in 1999 and independently by the CIA's Ken Miller and Dennis McDaniels, also uses a visionary cipher and contains GPS coordinates for a point near the sculpture, along with a reference to W. William Webster, who was the CIA director at the time of the sculpture's dedication. K3 uses a complex transposition cipher and is a paraphrased quote from archaeologist Howard Carter's account of opening Tutankhamun's tomb. Then there's K4. This final section, consisting of just 97 characters, has stubbornly resisted all attempts at telecteme for over 3 decades. It is significantly shorter and apparently uses a different, more obscure cryptographic method than the first 3. The challenge has been so persistent that Jim Sanborn himself has occasionally released clues to help spur progress. In 2010, he revealed that characters 64 to 69 in K4, EYPVTT, can cake the word BERLIN. In 2014, he revealed that characters 70 to 74, MZFPK, can caked, CLOCK. And in 2020, he gave another clue. The word "is" is in code in K4. Despite these hints, the full meaning of K4 remains elusive. What secret does this final passage hold? Sanborn has stated that the entire Kryptos puzzle has an overarching riddle that will only be apparent once all 4 sections are solved. The fact that a code displayed so prominently at the CIA remains uncracked is a testament to its difficulty and a source of ongoing fascination and frustration. It's a puzzle in plain sight, daring the world to unlock its final secret. Number 1. The book no one can read, filled with plants that don't exist. Imagine holding a book hundreds of pages long, filled with elegant, flowing script and detailed, colorful illustrations. The script is unlike any known language, composed of graceful, unfamiliar characters. The illustrations depict bizarre, unidentifiable plants, astronomical and astrological charts with strange symbols, tiny, naked human figures, mostly female, bathing in or connected by intricate networks of green tubes, and what appear to be pharmaceutical recipes alongside more drawings of herbs. This is the Voynich manuscript, one of the most famous and baffling unsolved codes in history. Carbon dated to the early 15th century, 1404 to 1438. This vellum codex is named after Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish-American antiquarian bookseller who acquired it in 1912 from a Jesuit college near Rome. Its previous history is murky, though it's thought to have passed through the hands of alchemists, emperors, and scholars, including possibly the 16th century English polymath John Dee. For over a century, the world's best cryptographers, linguists, and historians, including code breakers who worked on cracking enemy codes during World War I, and I have attempted to decipher the Voynich manuscript, all have failed. Is it an unknown natural language written in a unique script? Is it a known language deliberately enciphered using a complex key? Or is it an elaborate, meaningless hoax, a gibberish text created to deceive or to entertain theories abound? Some suggest it's an alchemical text, a medical treatise, or an encyclopedia of a lost world. The script itself has about 20 to 30 core letters, or glyphs, with some rarer ones. Statistical analysis shows patterns consistent with natural language, like word frequencies and entropy, which argues against it being pure gibberish. However, certain features are very unusual for natural languages, such as the repetition of certain words or character sequences. The illustrations are equally perplexing. The plants shown in the herbal section don't match any known species on Earth. The biological section, with its interconnected nudes, is particularly strange and has defied easy interpretation. If it's a cipher, the system used is incredibly sophisticated for its time, or perhaps deceptively simple in a way no one has yet grasped. If it's a lost language, no one has found a key to unlock its vocabulary or grammar. The Voynich manuscript remains a profound enigma, a beautiful, unreadable book that continues to challenge our understanding of language, codes, and the human imagination. Its silent pages hold a secret that has endured for centuries, a true testament to the power of an unbreakable code.